And welcome back to the European LCS semi-finals. Fnatic are one game up in this best of 5, and you can see Unicorns of Love, they're outside strategizing. This happened a few minutes ago. They've got a lot to talk about and change. They want to change their hopes in this series. If you cannot join us in Stockholm next weekend, where both of these teams will play, one in the finals, one in the third place, why don't you consider checking out the series in a cinema? Watch the LCS finals along with one of the Coca-Cola viewing parties. They're happening all across Europe. Go check out more information and locations on leagueoflegends.com. A giant screen for League of Legends to watch. And for Unicorns, we touched on them outside, touched on them strategizing. They gave away Elise early. They gave away Sivir first pick.
Yeah.
How do they adapt coming into game 2? They are red side once again.
So first of all, looking at the bans we had from Unicorns of Love, it was Janna, Kalista, and Lulu. I don't think you need to ban Janna. I don't think Lulu necessarily should be your first priority ban either, because right now your concern has to be how do we survive the early game? We just got completely destroyed here. Instead, they need to switch up these bans here.
Something that you always run into as a coach or somebody that's leading a draft is something you easily forget is winning lanes. You pick these champions and you play out a team coming, okay, this is what we want to do, this is what we do in a mid-game, late game, but then you forget about just simply thinking about which lane will be pushing early. And that's what happened in the last game. Top lane was pushing heavily for Fnatic. Bot lane was pushing heavily for Fnatic. Mid lane was even, but with the pressure added from Elise, made it so that Featherman could make the first move. If you're playing a game where you have playing against a more aggressive jungler, and all your lanes are getting pushed in, you are so likely to lose the game. And that was the case for Unicorns from the beginning onwards, and that was a massive drafting mistake from the Unicorns.
And if we're expecting Fnatic to once again first pick Sivir, if it is open, they should go for it to take it away from Vardax. It would leave up things like Shen, Elise, Alistar, as they've picked in this one here, in the first rotation on the red side, if they want to go for those picks. Still got to worry about this top lane if they go for Shen potentially, because Huni is still going to run like a riven into it. He's going to try and run some of these early aggressive top lanes that can snowball, but getting Elise away from Reyna is going to be key as well.
I don't think you will be able to out-pressure Huni in a straight 1v1 scenario. At best, you can neutralize the lane, perhaps with a Lulu pick of yourself. But the way to neutralize that is by adding a stronger jungler. If you have Elise into Rek'Sai and you add that to the 2v2 in top lane, then maybe you can come out even. And I think that is the approach that the Unicorns will have to look for. Get an advantage from Horo over Reignover. That's traditionally the way Fnatic have struggled. You don't attack their lanes. You attack what's behind their lanes, the jungler, the foundation. If you get that down, then you can maybe outnumber them. In case of Huni, maybe bring your support better with you as well. 3v1 him, somehow try and shut him down that way. Because otherwise, thematically and stylistically, it's not going to be enough.
Let's see if Unicorns of Love agree as the first bans are trickling in. Varus, Kalista, Orianna, Janna. Nothing's changed yet. So Sheepy and the rest of you are well. I've got one ban left.
When Fnatic is run Protect the AD carry comps, they needed the Kalista to be there. So effectively by banning that, you shouldn't have to go for Janna and Lulu bans as well. Now Unicorns, they have to go for Elise, take the Shen away as well. So this is what we just talked about. What they could do on the first rotation, you steal away their potential flex pick of Shen, the global pressure that can also stop Hylissang from roaming, or at least make it harder for him because there's another global coming, and you get the stronger early jungler.
So now if that Shen ends up being played top, yes, you may have a losing matchup in the Shen, but you fix that by adding Elise. If you have a losing matchup with somebody else, you fix that by adding the Shen. So you have more options, more band-aids to your problems, and then you at least put some pressure on Fnatic. This could open up for an aggressive assassin pick in the mid lane from Power Evil. Perhaps he wants to just counter pick right now and actually make it work, put some pressure on Featherman, perhaps an Ahri, something else.
And if we see Alistar being taken away from Fnatic now, the normal #1 priority, Unicorns still have tons of support picks. They've run Annie in the past if they want to have a super aggressive all-in composition where you can use that Shen global as well to force fights. Annie could be your option. Otherwise, Thresh, Morgana has been the safer choices for Hylissang. We know he's so fantastic at landing these skill shots. I personally like him on Annie. I think he needs to be the playmaker. He needs to be the main engage for Unicorns of Love to set up these wombo combos they like to use.
If you run a roaming support on Hylissang, though, I really don't like the Lucian. I think you need to have an AD carry that can fend for himself. The only one remaining on this list is pretty much Corki. Then you kind of run into the problem that you have to balance it out with 80 damage, because otherwise people will stack too much armor. But I feel that you'd rather have that problem in the late game than have a problem in the early game already.
Talking about the Olaf lock-in as well. It was whispers it could have been a flex for Fnatic. We expected to go in Reignover's hands considering his summoner spells, but it's been used 3 times a split, and it's been used exceptionally well from Fnatic.
And we've seen it top lane. We saw it yesterday from Odo Amne. We've seen it also in A. It's a fantastic strong top laner. And it is a great matchup into Olaf. When we talk about how do you get the stronger early game in that 2v2 up there, Olaf is going to be one of them. I think personally he's one of the strongest laners in the game. And of course, as you mentioned, it is that flex option.
Now we have a bit of an adaptation here from the Unicorns. Instead of saying, okay, roaming support, so we pick an AD carry that fits. No, we pick Lucian and we pick a support that fits. Lucian Braum is an incredibly potent lane because the double shot obviously allows you to add 2 passives to the stack of Winter's Bite. You can go for stuns. Also, it has good peel, Braum, so when Fnatic is charging at you with that Sivir OF combination, you can block the axes, shut off their pathways with the Braum ultimate. So in that sense, skirmish heavy composition from Unicorns, but this might be better at least.
Here's my concern though. You're building a composition around snowballing Vardax. You give him a lane support that fits with him. You have
Fnatic
a Shen.
will never see it coming.
That's true. That's true. I mean, you're right now saying basically, Vardax, you need to win your lane. We're going to have the Shen coming down from top lane to assist you. We have the support that fits you in the laning phase as well. This is the guy who's gone even in almost every lane he's played.
Exactly. And in all their preparation that Fnatic has done, they found out that Vardax will always go even. So surprise, surprise.
I mean, I don't think Fnatic is too afraid of this. I mean, look what they're drafting now.
Yeah.
Insane team fights on it. They're saying, okay, fair enough. You take the stronger level 1 jungler. We're not going to try and go for this 2v2 fight necessarily top lane right now. Instead, we're drafting for a heavy team fight composition around the mid game. Nash's Tooth on Azir. Rumble gets his magic penetration. And then we say, dragon fights? Yes, please.
And I also remember Fnatic talking about the Olaf in the jungle. They always know they can get to late game. He prefers Olaf in certain circumstances. But when you combat him with the Sivir, which Fnatic have done all 3 times they've run that champion, then it's going to work out. So Unicorns have rounded out their team composition. We are going back to a mid AP Israel.
God damn it, Power of Evil.
I hope that Smite changes.
You know Runeglaive has changed, right?
Well, I know I do, but I don't know if Power of Evil does. We are 5-14 for everybody that's at home. Runeglaive no longer works on minions. He's got 20 seconds to change it. I'm expecting it to change.
Doesn't convert to magic damage either for him. I mean, we have seen some 80 Israels.
Even if it worked, the problem I have with this pick is that it is, again, it's like
it's the same.
Poke and wait while your entire team wants to go in and skirmish. Yes, Fnatic may be running this like Exodia-esque teamfight composition where they will just annihilate you around dragons, but you kind of opt in for that anyways when you go full-on China style, when you run Lucian Braum, Shen Elise early, like when you want all this aggressive CC coming out, and then Ezreal.
And now you also have less wave clear coming from the mid lane compared to last game. You also have longer scaling time because, again, you really need at least 2 items completed before you can start having an impact on this Ezreal. So you make everything slower for yourself in the mid lane, which was one of the problems in the last game as well.
Does this not signal a problem with Power of Evil's champion pool? It's something that we have talked about throughout the split, and PoE continues to trend for those scaling mid laners. He's not had a chance to use them in game 1. It's game 2. We'll find out if it'll work this time. Unicorns of Love looking to even out the score 1-1 in their semi-final.
And let's of course highlight that AP Ezreal was always a thing. Like, you could always build AP Ezreal. There was more than just a Runeglaive. There was just a massive buff to him.
Yeah, when Runeglaive came out, everyone's like, oh, that ultimate deals so much damage.
Yeah, it's like, it always
did that so much damage,
so,
guys.
It's not like he's gonna be borderline useless, except for the first 25-30 minutes. And
Is that all?
Well,
Okay. Well, in that case, I think we can go home and we just write this game off for the Unicorns.
It took 26 minutes for Fnatic to beat Unicorns in game 1 of the series. It took Fnatic 22 minutes to beat Unicorns in week 9.
I'm just trying to be positive. I don't like the pick. I think it's horrible.
Are you a way of being positive? Jesus
That's
Christ.
my split personality right here. We have the positive one and the
not so positive one. All right, let's go over these compositions though. So
even
Fnatic,
dropped my pen in anger.
It's not your day, is it, Deficio? Fnatic, they're running teamfight composition where they really want to posture around these objectives and then pop the Sivir ulti. If they can send in the Alistar for the combo, you know, Olaf speed up. Traditionally though, they paired it Olaf with a Lulu, so they could at least use Wild Growth on him, speed him up even more, and just making this one-man army, almost Darius-esque in the way TSM did it. This time he's a little squishier, so if he gets a little too aggressive or too ahead of himself, he can get blown up immediately. And we have follow-up peel coming out of the Braum from Hylissang.
Which is why we might see Fnatic in these fights here use the Sivir ulti a bit more defensive in terms of we can kite back, because again we have the Nash's Tooth, Rylai's coming in from the Zia, fantastic kite, and then Rumble ulti as well as in terms of disengage.
And looking at that Rumble, comboed with Reignover in the 2v2, we keep talking about the impact of the jungler plus top laner. It looks like we're going to have standard lanes again. So what are these 2v2s telling us?
It's a very interesting 2v2 in terms of who gets to jump on the other person, because there's a wealth of CC coming out of Shen and Elise and a good amount of damage. Shen not so much, Elise does have a damage, but if they overreach and they get punished by a couple of axes and the flame split from Rumble, they can get grilled immediately. So interesting 2v2, but there's an option at least for winning it this time on the side of UOL.
I would honestly have loved to see Fnatic for that exact reason, and also for the reason that Shen is in the top lane. I would like to see Fnatic just have lane swap right here, because Shen is a top laner that requires a strong early game to get that early level 6, get an early tanky item, and then start using that pressure on the other lanes. You can shut that down very effective in a lane swap with a low ecom top lane and Rumble, of course.
You obviously don't know if Fnatic predicted a predictive lane swap by Unicorns and just decided to go bot lane. They are incredibly good at going even though, however, Lucian Bomb should be able to find an opening here. And the added pressure of Winter's Bite early as a zoning tool has allowed the Unicorns to push in. So right now they have a pushing, winning matchup in the bot lane at least. Mid lane is obviously even Farmfest on Ezreal into Azir. So again, they'll have to be watching top lane.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see what Horror can do in this at least. Can he shut down Reignover in the early game? Use that to go for Huni. You have the Shen turned into Cocoon, that's a fantastic CC chain. And with the strong base stats of a Shen, you have good enough damage in the early game to take him down. I want to see if this ends up hurting Fnatic then, that it took standard lanes. Was it too greedy possibly? Or do they say, you know what, we can handle this. We just need some early vision to spot Horror, and then our laners are going to be fine.
As it stands, Fnatic are going even in bottom and mid lane. Huni's earned himself a small advantage over Chachi top, which you somewhat expect. And the wave is pushing away from Reckless and Yellow Star down bottom.
And they need to be careful now, because look what Reignover is doing again. He takes early Rift Scuttle on top side, and he early wards here to see, okay, Horror, the Raptor camp is gone, so we know he's taken it, and we haven't spotted him so far in 3 wards. He's going to be bot side, so be careful with this wave pushing up towards Unicorns.
And while junglers are doing the exact same thing mirrored across the map, I feel there's more value out of what Reignover is doing, because he's protecting the a lot weaker, easily gankable top lane. The added Rift Scuttle and just some extra vision in the bottom isn't really going to matter, because it is so unlikely that Reignover is going to gank this lane bottom early, let alone mid lane from the right side, very passive Ezreal. So the vision in the top half of the map is just more valuable for both teams.
And you have the guaranteed CC in top in the Shen Taunt, compared to where you got to stack up on the Braum first. You also have double wards, obviously, on the bottom side with 2 trinkets, so it will always be harder. Only just burning Chachi a little bit while he's trying to get some CS.
Press Q, press S, win trade. We do see that Horror has moved himself up to the top lane. Not going to go for the gank as we see Yellow Star moving into the river. With some great stats, but there's that lane presence. The ward going to time out shortly.
This could be first blood for them. There's no ward from Huni. Reignover hasn't spotted anything. The pink ward is what they're setting up everything for this. Huni is going to walk straight into Horror.
Going to be in trouble. Cocoon connects. Horror's gone spider form. Chilling Smite is down. He's going to be able to follow with the repel, and does. Huni's already flashed. One more venomous poison. The volatile spiderling's coming out. No! The shield from Huni keeps him alive. A flash forward from Vizichachi, and he will get first blood.
I think that volatile spiderling not killing Huni may actually work in a favor, because now the first blood gold they shared plus an assist. More hashtag worth coming out of that play. And it felt like Huni was smelling the play, because Yellow Star on the bottom. You can see when that Scuttle Crab had been taken. That was a while ago, indicating that Horror could have already moved to the other side of the map. Huni smelled the gank, but unfortunately for him, Elise was already in the brush.
We just saw all the vision being placed from Fnatic very early on, because they were expecting the first clear from Horror to go up to that top side and say, okay, we're now preventing the first gank. And then the vision slipped up when it came to the second time where Horror could then walk up, and we saw Huni go down. And we mentioned this, how easy it is for him to go up to this lane and kill Huni.
And that is one of the strengths of Elise. She's such a sustained jungler. She can gank at different times, whether it's 3:30, 4:30, or even 5 minutes. She can pinpoint those ganks at different minute marks, and that makes her very unpredictable, therefore a strong early game jungler.
Unicorns using it to their advantage to get that first blood. Unfortunately for Unicorns, the wave was so heavily pushed. Huni was not denied that 2.5 waves or so of experience. Has still got a CS advantage. Already has access to the equalizer, and we can see the lanes already backing. Power of Evil's hit 6 as well.
And Horror needs to return to this top lane, because what you want to do now is punish the no-flash Rumble, and that again enables the Shen then to TP down to the bottom lane, because once you got that wave pushed out versus Huni, that's when Shen can leave. If he keeps shoving it into tower, Chachi might lose a tower for himself if he goes down bottom lane, not even getting a guaranteed kill.
That's what Reignover is trying to prevent here with some deep vision in the enemy jungle. He just wants to find Horo. That is usually his approach to the lanes. We said it before in the analysis, he doesn't really go for these ganks unless he knows where the enemy jungler is, avoiding the risk of a counter gank. Even now, if he doesn't find a Horo, he just takes away his camps and he says, Horo, well, if you want to do the best thing for you, which is gank top lane, you'll have to enter an empty jungle. They're meeting each other here at the Kirks though.
So perfect.
Close from Reignover. Doesn't get taunted though.
Perfect for Reignover. In fact, he gets to spot Horo now, so he gets...
And he takes half his jungle as well. Raptors are gone.
Take some of the jungle away. You prevent the potential second gank that was going to happen up top here. Huni can go back and get a second ward now as well. So they really make sure he's going to be safe. Because now it's all about the Shen TP on the bottom side. Can Unicorns use it to snowball?
The problem I have with this draft is imagine if this matchup played out the same way with, for example, an Ahri in the mid lane. That would now allow Power Revo to go aggressive with a Stand United on his back, make a play somewhere. Ahri is running this very, very passive Ezreal. We see max range Feverin smells the gank coming out. He dashes backwards. No really potential for opening up the map for the Unicorns.
I also feel like if you want to run a scaling mid laner who lacks wave clear on outside of the ulti, in this case here, go something like a Kassadin into this Azir. That's a fine matchup for you once you hit level 6. Yes, you're going to be shoved down anyway, but this is going to be the same here for the Ezreal. And then it fits in with the rest of your composition when it comes to, hey, we need to dive onto the Sivir and Azir and the late game team fights. We have the Shen ulti. That would fit in a lot better than a long-range poke champion. We have to see, though, what Power People can do late in the game.
And we saw Power People throw out that True Shot Barrage to try and either steal the Raptors or maybe get a surprise kill on Reignover. There was some deep wards around the red buff of Fnatic from UOL. Giving them some information to work with. There is a cleanse on Feathervin, and it's used this time around as opposed to heal from game 1 of the series. And we see Horo, he's picked up an early Sightstone on his first back. Reignover already got that Cinderhalt completed. So everybody farming their way up. We're a minute away from what was a 3,000 gold lead for Fnatic in game 1. UOL, their stronger lanes are doing better this time around.
Or now picks up the Scarlet Crab, top side of the river. A lot better deep vision coming out of Unicorns above, and that is the result of these winning lanes in terms of pressure. Yes, the CS might be even this game. Notorious, Reckless, and Vardax obviously for going even in CS at the 10-minute mark. However, this time Unicorns were pushing. This allowed them some deep work, some more information, and this holds Fnatic in check. They're no longer getting caught off guard as much. Remember, Fnatic is comfortable playing this game. They're only down 600 gold. We've seen teams get ahead 7,000 gold and still not beat Fnatic, so Unicorns will need to do more.
It's just all built around Horo and this Elise. It was testing the waters in game 1. Does Reignover play it? Yes, it is okay. We take it early rotation the next game, and it's paying off. He's a lot more active on the map. He doesn't have to really be so afraid of the Olaf, as we saw in the last matchup. Still, though, for Unicorns, they are looking to scale up Power Revo and then try and set up this TP with the Shen. They haven't been able to use it yet, because the lanes on the bottom side are so passive. It's just clear the waves, go back. Don't try any fights or any ganks when you know Shen can join.
And for Fnatic, I don't think they'll mind that too much. Get Huni close to level 11, wait till they can group up as a team, because you highlighted the strength of the Fnatic team comp. No dragons taken yet, 10 minutes in. Neither team has had control of the bottom half of the map just yet.
This is the Fnatic early game we've seen so often in Summer Split. The low-risk early game. You don't have to go aggressive. You don't have to go for a crazy gank if you think there's a chance of a counter gank coming in from the Unicorn. So we just sit and farm. We wait for team fights where they have been the best team in Europe.
And they usually wait for the enemy team overreaching and then punishing that by a teleport from Huni. This could be the case right here. We see Horo lurking in that brush.
For another silver lane.
Huni is prompted. He's ganking a silver lane, and that is one of the... Alistar Silver is the pinnacle of net neutral lanes, because Yellowstar will never go in for that combo unless he's absolutely sure he can't get counter gank. He gets popped right now, but he still has ultimate. That's why Horo is not coming out of that brush. Also doesn't know if the next brush is warded or not, so he doesn't want to step in.
Still waiting there.
This is only gonna work if Unicorn set up a dive with the Shen, but that's again against an Alistar. Also, if Unicorn start randomly
here,
really shoving the wave.
Hit a minion!
He's dragging the minions to the wrong side. He wants to move Reckless towards the brush, but you can't do that if you have minions on you, especially Horo as well. He could have actually had an angle on the Cocoon slightly earlier, but the play is too forced, and eventually
as well.
If you change these laning behaviors, I can almost guarantee that Vardax and Hillsang have not been playing like that in the laning phase so far. Therefore, Reckless and Yellowstar were likely aware that Elise was in that brush.
But that's why it would be way too predictable if that was ever going to work. If Vardax starts randomly hard shoving the wave, Obviously, they're going to call. Okay, Shen is going to join in. Chachi now, he's in trouble.
I think he's dead to Fischio. Undertow. And kill credit to Featherbeard. Probably even better.
So one of the things you can do with this Nashers early is you can fast push your waves so effectively against an Ezreal who has to use his ulti to clear the waves out. You can just shove it in and leave. Notice how Featherbeard is going to return before the wave even hits his tower.
And this is the way plays turn out to be in League of Legends when it goes over multiple minutes. The play that was done here by Fnatic, which is moving 3 members to the top side, was set in motion by the Unicorns. By camping that bot lane, by using your resources so hard on the bottom side of the map, this leaves you exposed in the top side of the map. Perhaps not immediately, but 30-40 seconds later, Fnatic punished the top lane, punished that lane from Chachi, and obviously he can't stand United himself, unlike other lanes, so he has to be safe. And that's why I think it's a mistake from Horo trying to gank that top lane.
You need to gank the lane with the Shen, so you open up for the Shen to come down to that bottom lane. Use pink wards on the top side. Fight that vision with Reignover. Don't allow him to invade into your jungle freely over and over and take your camps and place the deep wards. You need to own that side if you're Horo. That's one of the ways you could have snowballs the early game. Instead now, we get a Fnatic lead once again. Yellowstar will be caught out, but he has ulti.
He does, and he throws it down. Unbreakable Will is out. Pulverize goes down. Reignover also has the ability to get rid of everything Braum can do. Ragnarok will be thrown in a second. Ghost is up. Ragnarok's up. Flash forward for the Mystic shot. Your Reignover may have held on to that a touch too long, but you can't shake the knockup.
Cooldown, just a few seconds on the cooldown for him, so he couldn't prevent the CC coming in before it was too late and he ends up going down. But greedy check as well from him.
Now on this BF pickaxe timing on the Lucian and the Alistar ulti being down, this could actually prompt a dive on the bot lane from Unicorns, because Alistar obviously never dived him because of Unbreakable. With Stan United, they could actually go for the dive. However, they have to make it quick, because 4 seconds is all it takes for Huni to land. Equalizer could turn it all around, but it could be another opening for the Unicorns here.
Especially also with the tier 1 tower already gone in top, it's going to take a while for Huni to shove it back down, so you can just see the Shen, if you pay attention to it in minimap, in case Unicorns are setting up for a dive, how he's just going to walk away from the minions, sit in a bush, ready, and then he can always TP in onto Hylissang when he jumps in first, or of course the Elise if she's down on the bottom side. But this mid tower is slowly but surely going to be chipped away by the Azir, and if there's no help for Power Weevil, that tower will fall, so Unicorns have to be ready to make the play.
Well, we talk so much about a UOL tower dive. Fnatic say, screw that, we'll start our own. Vizichachi's going to be able to arrive. So does Huni. They've got one, but they've lost one in reply. Yellowstar is down. His first death of the series. Chachi is being focused by Huni and Reckless. Huni's tanking up the tower shots. Here comes Reignover. Undertow, Reckless swing. Undertow, he's got one more. And the kill credit to Featherfit. They may be able to get a tower. Undertow's going to at least slow Hylissang. Mystic shot comes out. Reignover's running. Mystic shot's being blocked. There's no true shot barrage. Hilly flashed for the Winter's bite, but it ends up biting him. Now Huni's coming back in. Gonna find 2 Electro Harpoons before Power of Evil gets his second kill of the game. PoE's not done yet. True Shot Barrage getting reduced on cooldown with each Mystic shot. Reckless, 300 HP. Flashes, another Mystic shot. Power of Evil's got a triple.
Such a greedy dive from Fnatic. They had no ulti on that Alistar. They're going for it. They know. Another one. 4 kills now for Power Weevil. This might just remove his weak mid game and shoot him straight towards the point where he's going to be so powerful with his ulti at least.
And the worst thing that's for Fnatic, they could have not predicted the amount of time that Hylissang spent in base. I just went on my screen and rewatched it. He was waiting around 10 to 15 seconds in his base trying to figure out where he was going. Then he went mid, went back to bottom. He could have arrived at the dive around 5 to 10 seconds earlier and punished Fnatic even harder. So this almost seemed like a panic reaction from Fnatic. Let's watch that again. He even flashes to get the right angle in the W knockup. He doesn't space out his cooldowns well enough. Bardax managed to survive long enough to distract people while Yellowstar goes down. And now Chachi, he's buying time. Look where Hylissang is. He could have actually been half a screen further, if not a full screen further, if he just didn't hesitate as much in the shop. This could have turned out very, very grim for Fnatic overall.
And there was absolutely no reason to go for this play. There were no pressure on the map. All the lanes were about to be shoved out because Unicorns had gone back to base. Instead, without the Alistar ulti, you take the dive. Unnecessary Power Weevil playing cleanup. I mean, he couldn't have asked for a better situation.
Yep.
Hylissang just slowing down targets for him, and then he can get in the damage. And really, Fnatic, that is not a play we normally see from them.
Uncharacteristic mistake from Fnatic here, but overall, fantastic cleanup by Power of Evil. That is one thing we did not point out in Champs League. Ezreal can always safely apply more stacks to that Winter's Bite. snipe. Because you have that apply on hit effects on the Ezreal Q, obviously, and against his slow posturing around objectives lineup from Fnatic, Brahmax actually might be a better support because Alistar is one engage only. Braum can just throw out.
They're gonna go again, by the way.
They fit.
They have ulti now.
Does have Unbreakable. Vardex is going to get focused, gets caught by the Boomerang Blade. One more hit is all it needs. Reckless gets the kill. True Shot Barrage flies across from the middle lane. And this should be the tower as well. Chachi does not connect to the taunt. Here comes Rainover. We've got another fight, and Fnatic say we want more. They get themselves a Ninja, and the Viking gets himself a tower.
So now was the right time for Fnatic. They had the ulti ready. No Shen ulti available at the time the dive started. Chachi should have cancelled that TP as soon as he realized there was nothing to do. Huni, though, also needs to back away because he just knew that 4 members from Fnatic was on the bottom side, so he's all alone up here on the top side.
No equalizer, no flash, and he's going to get stunned. Knock up into Cocoon. Huni's level 11. Gonna get chased down by Power of Evil, who finds his 5th kill. He's got himself a Luden's Echo. He's got himself the Rune Glaive. And the man that needs to deal the damage for the Unicorns of Love is doing it. The cost of that kill was, of course, the tower in the mid lane. And you can see the damage, team damage distribution here.
The plays that were winning Unicorns of Love the games against Rocket was Horo and Hillsang working together on these roams, applying crowd control effects. And that's what we're going to need to see more from the Unicorns. Catch these Fnatic members off guard. Let Power Eagle roll. Finally, he's having some impact in other lanes. That's what he didn't have game 1. See more of that.
Still, again, Huni overextending. You invest 4 guys on the bottom side. You have one job as a top laner. You run. You don't try and overextend your own lane. You can't keep pushing multiple lanes at once because Unicorns will just walk up and gank you. But this build here from Power of Evil, it is so outdated. I mean, remember the Luden's Echo change that happened, so it didn't proc on Rune Glaive as well. So we saw the APS will start simply skip Luden's Echo, just wait straight for Death Cap. He's not going back to it anyway because his damage is mainly going to come from his W, his E, and his ulti, where the Luden's Echo will proc. It still takes more time to stack it up and be effective. So
it does help that you're 5-0.
Sure, but that could have been a Death Cap he was building towards instead.
I agree.
Unicorns of Love
got me sold there, Deficio.
Punished Fnatic's tower dive to get their mid AP Ezreal very far ahead. Currently 1,000 gold up over Febiven. And at last check, it dealt around 8,000 damage to Febiven's 2,500 damage to champions, but that helps having a map-wide ultimate. And for Fnatic, they're looking for another aggressive play. Hillsang's going to be able to stand behind.
Equalizer comes out.
Huni's actually used the Equalizer. The rest of Fnatic are saying that is a counter-warding ulti. Thank you, Huni.
We're now 20 seconds or 10 seconds away from both Dragon and Baron spawning, and that is where this Fnatic lineup lies. We're talking about all this action, how PoE is 5-0, but Fnatic still 1,000 gold in lead, and they still haven't hit their strong point, which is where all their members are together, posturing around an objective. We'll have to see if that actually punishes the Unicorns, or if they can find these CC chains that I've been doing so far in these small skirmishes. If they can also find that in the 5v5s, perhaps they have an opening.
And Power of Evil is the guy to watch for Unicorns here, because if he can connect some great poke, then he will force Fnatic to take the composition, use it aggressively to dive onto them. Otherwise, they can kite back with this Azir, with their Rylai's coming in second item for him, with their Sivir ulti as well, and suddenly Unicorns have 0 engage to get onto him. They're setting up a potential counter Baron, but Unicorns are keeping both Hillsang and Power of Evil near that Baron, so Fnatic are going for it. And second Dragon now for the Unicorns.
At the cost of the Baron comes the red buff and some jungle control. Fnatic takes that. Winter's Bite connects. Taunt, Chachi, I don't really think you want to go in there. The good thing for Unicorns is, however, they have double check on that Baron. They can have send in the Ezreal ulti, and then later on they will have the Scrying Orb. Once Vardex finishes that, hopefully he realizes on this back that he has to buy that. I think against Fnatic as a team, you can run double Scrying Orb too. You really just don't want to let them have Baron.
Something we have seen Unicorns do quite a lot when they run poke champions. Power of Evil then gets a Scrying Orb, and then you have, as you just mentioned here, more ways to avoid a face check.
We do see Fnatic have picked up an early Void Staff for Febiven's second item. Slight departure from the previous game. Still holding on to a very, very minor gold lead thanks to those 2 towers, but Unicorns have got control of the Dragon Pit. Both times it spawned, and some defensive wards from the Unicorns of Love.
Game 1 we saw a Rune Glaive at least. Horo's not opting for that. He's going CDR boots. Or he's just, yeah, he has CDR boots already, and he has the Cinder Hulk finished up. You see a tweet from Santorini coming in. Power of Evil 1 definitely wants to stop Fnatic's win streak.
I mean, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
It would be the 20th victory in a row, and Yellow Star, Reckless, Fnatic, they're all running. On the Hunt is thrown down, and they will not find their targets. Fnatic.
Incredibly forced play by Fnatic.
It is so much easier for Fnatic if they shift their attention down towards objectives, set up vision around them, and force Unicorns to move down and check towards Fnatic. Not them chasing on the Unicorns here, trying to connect. Basically with Huni's ulti as the engage, and a Sivir trying to speed up Alistar. They're making it very difficult to use the ultis correctly. Let's see though, it's very angry at the ground. Second time.
I like it.
Does not find his target. And for Fnatic, this composition that needs to run at you, that does have limited engage. It's something we've criticized other teams in the LCS, and Fnatic have usually, even without engage, found ways to make it work. This game's going to be a little more challenging.
Unicorns is sieging up the top lane. They obviously want to connect Cocoon and Winter's Bite, follow up with some damage and some poke. The main poke champion is still in the mid lane, but look at the bot lane, massive wave stack there. This does give them some momentum to make a play somewhere else on the map. It doesn't look like they're set up properly to really capitalize on that. All they're going to get is some vision control, and honestly, I think they're happy with that at this point.
Yeah, gotta take what you can get. Also for Fnatic, making sure they will have enough engage with the Sivir ulti. They have Talisman coming in. I like that from the other side. Can work both ways, defensively and offensively. Now a potential dive from the Unicorns aloft.
Flash for flash already. Fnatic have managed to get away for the time being, but they will lose their tower up top. Vardak's forced to heal as well.
Shen can still go back though and defend this wave in time. He has his ulti, he doesn't need that TP. So Fnatic giving up a tower, and also as we mentioned before, the Unicorns getting some control around the Baron. Power Beaver should be here to stop him, but look how fast he can take down towers. Apply that W as well to it, and then suddenly Israel has to either use ulti or see his tower drop really low.
Huni managed to get some damage on the bottom inner turret as well before Chachi shows his face. Chachi going full tank on that Shen. Looking to control Huni. No teleports for either top laner, but obviously Stand United is available, so if action were to break out, Chachi could join the fight.
Keep your eyes on Horo and Hylissang. They have to find an opening somewhere. They need to add some pressure to the map so Cocoon and Winter's Bite can force flashes, can force people out, and maybe net another tower, another objective. That's the way the Unicorns want to get ahead right now. And then eventually Power Beaver scaling up his poke. But he's playing against one of the biggest late game mid lane carries into Azir. So definitely will be a hard task for him, especially later on. Once you get some extra magic resistance as well, Aegis finished on a couple of members, then this poke is gonna diminish overall.
And Power Beaver is almost alone against the world, because the Lucian in these fights, there's so much zone control here he has to worry about. You know, you gotta worry about the Rumble ulti with your low range on Lucian. The Azir soldiers will destroy you in the late game. Olaf connecting one axe means the next one is gonna follow. So Vardax in these fights will have a very hard time dealing consistent damage. He always has to like try and dash around and like dodge what Fnatic is sending at him. So Power Beaver is basically on his own when it comes to dealing that DPS, where Fnatic has a Sivir and Azir. Even the jungle and the Olaf will deal good damage.
Unicorns are grouping up a bit too much, I feel. They're sharing so much farm between carries. They're not playing the map on 3 lanes. They're waiting for the lanes to be pushed in, and eventually they'll soak up some farm, but they're not putting pressure on all the lanes. It seems like they're afraid to split up because they obviously run that risk of getting engaged on by Talisman, by On the Hunt. They'll have to keep tracking these CS numbers for Vardax, because slowly but surely he's falling behind his counterpart Reckless. Now down about 36 CS at the 25-minute mark.
You mentioned engages from On the Hunt, engages from Ragnarok, Equalizer. Fnatic have actually tried to push their advantage a few times, and it's cost them. The tower dive down bottom getting Power Beaver fared. The attempted push up top ended up allowing them to lose a tower. They did well to at least reply. But for Fnatic, slightly different style from what we're used to seeing in terms of forcing a fight but not coming away. This time around, they may find Horo using a proper death. Horo's going to repel that. What goes up must come down before it goes down. Glacial Fissure, that's not the greatest, as Chachi is going to finish to Stand United. Hylissang's being focused out by Reckless with the red buff. Power Beaver and Vardax are going to move forward. That Arcane Shift goes out. True Shot Barrage not available. And while all that was going on, Feb even got a tower as well.
So we see a fight being forced on Fnatic. This time they've been using these 2 pink wards at the Baron just to force Unicorns to continue to walk in and try and place a ward, see if anything is going on. In the end, you have that face check. Everything gets popped from Fnatic. And nowhere to go for the Elise. Easy kill for them.
Yeah, that Shen ultimate has to come down on Horror before he repels upwards. So when you land, you bring down the Shen with you. Then you have to have Hylissang join you in the fight. Otherwise, it's simply too late. You will have so many brush check potential in the Ezreal ulti, Ezreal Q, at least W, but they got too close to the brush, got engaged on. Good read by Fnatic. Result of that play. Unicorn still gets the dragon. Or who got that one? Did
Fnatic,
get it?
yeah.
Okay.
So let's see it again here. Look at the pink wards, meaning that your Unicorns have to move in and try and see what's going on near this Baron, and that's where you get that phase check.
But imagine if Shen was already on Horror here and landing with him. Shen ulti got loose really at the end, and now he flanks him from the side. So a bit of a mismatch, miscommunication here, not respecting the brush check potential from Fnatic.
But finally we see Fnatic say, you know what? Let Unicorns come to us. Then we can use the vision here. We can use our composition in these choke points with Rumble ulti, the Zia soldiers. So effective. We are not chasing after you. And obviously Fnatic is still in control. Despite Power Weaver being so fed on the Ezreal, he is still alone on this team.
PoE 1v9. Now marginally ahead Febiven in gold. Of course, because Febiven's got himself some kills, got those global objectives. You've seen both teams playing for vision around Baron, but neither team has really started it. We did see Yellow Star at least tagging it once. But it's not the priority, just the threat of Baron is what Fnatic is trying to play.
The problem with this Ezreal build though is, in this current patch, if you want to really make that AP shine with that Runeblade, you have to E aggressively forward. So far in the last of the fights, the way Huni has been using his equalizers, Power Weaver has to shift backwards every time because of the zone. That eliminates half of the damage really that can come out of it, and then he can poke from far, but he will only be hitting the front line from Fnatic, so he's not threatening the damage. Fnatic's just tearing through Unicorns' left front line. They really need to connect CC immediately and blow them up, because sustained damage over time, Fnatic has the edge.
And it was just why AP Israel as a pick before Runeblade wasn't really used, because it was more like, hey, I need to like one-shot one target because you have fairly long cooldown on the rest of your abilities.
Yep.
Then suddenly you could start using your Q. Runeblade was great. Here's an engagement from Fnatic.
Once again, can they find a target? You can if you get the pulverized. Hylissang throws out his ulti. The Stand United not going to complete. That means Chachi can't arrive. Fnatic have got 2 kills. They found a third, spreading him across the team, and they're going to set up for base. Vardex, why were you not with your team?
Well, the thing is, even if it was with this team here, Fnatic, they have so much engaged now with Silver ulti, Talisman, the Olaf who can run with the tank items in the front, and Unicorns of Love. I don't know how they want to win a team fight with this composition as well. Unless Power Weaver can single out a target before it even starts, they simply won't have the damage.
Unicorns' level up composition is built around skirmishes in smaller numbers, letting that CC count, keep somebody locked down. Don't allow them to do so much damage. Look how quick that Baron goes down, and Fnatic right now, it's a stampede. They're just finding a target, and eventually they don't really care who they go for. Yellowstar here right now goes in, pops ultimate, then goes for a combo on Hylissang. As long as he gets the support, and look at Power Weaver, has to shift backwards. Gets axed in as well. Even Shen ultimate doesn't come down in time because the equalizer is just literally burning him alive. There's nothing he can do. It's too much damage and too much mobility coming out of this Fnatic lineup. But at least Vardex took down the Crux. Something.
We got some adaptation as well for Unicorns in the pick and ban phase. Shen Elise came in the first rotation. More focus on the early game. It was
a pick here on Reignover.
Better. Let's see. Reignover does have ulti ready.
Unicorns still holding steady. Their super minions pouring from the middle lane. They can't just sit here.
It's almost a cliche. If you get behind against Fnatic, what do? Pull a Fnatic on them.
Not gonna work this time, boys.
May actually do.
In the world.
3 members stuck in the mid lane. Olaf, Azir, and Rumble are still looking to join. Yellowstar wants to peel as long as he can.
Yellow Star.
Now this might be rough. Fnatic might just simply out-rotate Unicorns here. Who's ganking who?
We're swapping sides. There's no on the hunt. Reignover gets caught. Ragnarok will get thrown down. Ghosts up as well. The engage finds Power of Evil. With him out the fight, a lot of the damage is removed. Vardex gets crit down. Double kill comes in for Reckless. They will find an ace with super minions in the base. Fnatic looks to find their 20th win in summer.
Slower early game for Fnatic. A few mistakes, honestly, with the dive they had early on. But as soon as we got to these team fights around the Baron, they started using the pink wards. They got the mobility build up. Well, then Unicorns of Love, their comp simply had nothing to do in these fights.
Fnatic continue their undefeated streak in the European LCS and are one game away from guaranteeing an appearance in the World Championships.
How does one stop this Fnatic roster? Where's the weaknesses? The only real mistakes we've seen so far this game is Fnatic overreaching, putting themselves in the dumpster almost, you know, going for that stupid tower dive. Not even stupid, it was a decent idea. Risky tower dive. Kind of didn't really pay off. Then you have Huni overextending in the top lane, but that is...
Wait, if it's Fnatic, it deserves a little slap.
Yeah,
you know, you
I mean, we have to be critical
ulti.
because this team has gone 18-0 in regular split. They're now 2-0 in playoffs. You got to be nitpicking, and imagine their coach Daylor will be doing the same thing. So the only thing we can really fault them for is Huni kind of overextending when 4 people are ganking the bot side of the map.
That was the thing. It seemed like a little less focus maybe from Fnatic in the mid game here, and I'm sure Daylor is going to look at it. When your entire team is fighting on the bottom lane, your top laner does not start pushing, because then he's going to die. You don't go for that dive when the Alistar ulti's gone. So a few mistakes. Unicorns used them. Power people tried. Not enough.
Not enough indeed. And Lucian's lose streak continues, 1-14 in summer. We're going to head over to the analyst desk and break down the rest of Fnatic's second win.
Thank you so much, guys. Well, at least a little bit more of a game here. Unicorns of Love made some adaptations, and the Elise going so far ahead together with that Shen. Was that the key here for them to at least do something?
I think the key was the fact taking Elise, trading it for Sivir, and having something they could flex with. Shen could go support, top lane. That's exactly what I wanted from them. It worked in the early game. That's a start.
Yeah, first blood coming in there for Horo as well, and that tower dive, so definitely making something happen.
I mean, that's what you want to do as Elise. You want to be in a position where you have lanes set up that can poke the enemy down, and then you come in with the Elise and straight up dive someone. That's Elise strength currently right now, and we have seen it many times, even in game 1 from Fnatic, where Rainover was the one who was doing the dives and everything. But yeah, it's not enough because Elise has a kind of fall off in the mid-late game where she doesn't really do nearly as much as an Olaf. And if you're not far ahead in that game, you won't win the team fights. And we have seen that Fnatic did one really bad dive, I think. The idea was good, but the execution was a bit bad.
Let's take a look at it.
Yeah. We have a replay. We can look at that.
Yeah, we'll take a look in a second, indeed, where it ends up being really, really good for the Unicorns of Love and Power.
So yeah, we see a good engage from Yellowstar here. Actually was really good. And Huni comes in, of course, melts Barak down instantly. And then Visicharge is under the tower again, baits them in. And then Rainover wants to go for the kill. But here's like the really important part. Everyone is backing out already, whereas Rainover is running into the enemies because he has to run out of tower range. And then that causes the team to kind of bait in because skill shots have to be blocked. And Fabibon gets caught, dies. And then Huni tries to turn again, gets locked. And then Reckless has to kind of block the skill shots again. And then we see them, the snipe coming in. And this was really important because Ezreal got the chance to kind of skip his really early mid game. And it gave them kind of a glimmer of hope to actually win this game because they skipped the weak phase of Ezreal and he became a threat.
I think one of the biggest factors in that fight is because Forbidden has to come in and block the skill shots from killing Rainover, he actually does no damage. He has his ult up, does absolutely nothing in that bot lane engage. So it was basically Fnatic hamstringing themselves, as everybody has said. But just interesting to see that, you know, if Forbidden wasn't in that, well, as he wasn't in that fight, enemy mid laner takes over and Power will get so much from that. But unfortunately, just isn't enough. Even though he was like 5-0 at the end of that game.
I mean, it wasn't enough, but to be honest, the Unicorns of Love didn't do anything with that. They kept grouping, and they couldn't make the pickoffs with that advantage.
The thing is, if you group, you kind of lose against Azir, Rumble, and all those kind of picks are way better at team fighting. What you want to do with the Ezreal is you want to either poke them down under the tower, be in a sieging position, or you want to just catch them off guard, because Ezreal has so much burst that he can just one-shot someone. But they were never in a position where they can be, and then they got baited into this very stupid thing in the bot lane, got auto-tated, and then they got pretty much aced. And yeah, I think strategically Fnatic just playing a way better game and better understanding of how to use their comp properly.
I would like to also just pinpoint this Ezreal pick. Like, before the Runeglaive nerf, I even disapproved it. After the Runeglaive nerf, I never want to see it again, because it does not restore mana when you hit champions or minions in a lane. And with that in mind, it's just better to play without Smite and buy a Morello instead. It just makes no sense. You run out of mana, which you saw multiple times.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. If you're the Unicorns of Love, you go into this series, everyone has said you're going to have a really hard time winning this. They probably realize that as well. Why would you show anything else if you're going up possibly against H2K for a spot at Worlds?
I'm thinking like Ezreal, I don't think even if they hit it, nobody would care about it. It's like...
The The problem is, though, here is we looked at Paravival's champion pool in comparison. We know Paravival doesn't really want to play Azir. We know he can play Victor, but it hasn't been available. His champion pool is fairly outdated when you look at what is in the meta.
Or that's what he wants us to think.
Well, I mean, okay, but at the same time, if you want to look for the spot to go to Worlds, then at least try and perform against a team like Fnatic, who a lot of people will say, while they're likely to place in the top half of Worlds, maybe even top 4, if you want to place high at Worlds, you're going to have to beat better teams, perhaps, depending on how the international skill.
The thing is, what I'm thinking is they had a very good early game composition. They could have snowballed it with the Shen and the Lees. I think they should just go all out on the early game. Why pick the Ezreal? They should just pick the Syndra, which is also something that is considered an early game pick. I don't think Syndra is good, but they like Syndra, and of course Paravival is a good Syndra. I think that is something they maybe should pick up against the Azir.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
So yeah, the important, I talked with Defici already about it, how to beat Fnatic, and we always mention TF and Globals. So we saw the Shen coming in. Maybe a TF, if Powerview could pull that out, that would be actually really good, because simply how Fnatic plays out the game around Baron at 20 minutes, 4-man group into Baron, have Huni on the bottom side of the map, and then maybe try to outpressure them or at least get something, because right now Fnatic just takes everything without them even having to do anything for that.
I'm just thinking, overall for this series, Unicorns of Love need Gandalf the White to sweep in and help them out. But last time I checked the rules, you're not allowed to bring in Faker randomly into a best of 5, so it's unfortunate.
And Sheepy's beard is the wrong color as well, so it's just all bad. So we've been theory crafting what the Unicorns can do. We also asked the people at home which champions should be key bans in this matchup, and at Galaxy tweeted, I think the key bans will have to be Yellow Star supports, specifically, Annie and Janna. But he has so much else too.
I need to kind of comment. It's the kind of ecosystem, I don't know if it's the correct word, let's call it ecosystem of bot lane. Is every support kind of has a counter in a way. And I don't think there's a need to ban, Janna is understandable because there's not, Nami and Sona is considered good against Janna. So those champions are out of favor right now. Annie though, as long as Alistar is open, there's no point picking, banning the Annie. You could respond to an Alistar ban with an Annie ban, because, Alistar is considered to be the hardest counter to Annie, but you won't see an Annie Alistar top lane just to compensate for the bot lane matchup. That is just too bad right now.
All right, well, at least thank you for your help, Galaxy. You guys can remember to keep hitting us up at LL Esports with which champions are key bans. And also, if you have any questions for any of us here on the desk, use the hashtag AskTheDesk as well, so we can talk over that. Now, the Unicorns of Love, they're on the ropes in the semi-final matchup, and they need a win to keep the series alive. We'll be back with a look at Game 3 right after this.
Looking to even out the score, 1-1. 6 shots being blocked, there's no true shot for all. Really flashed for the Winter's bite, but it ends up biting him.
Go. Flash. Nice. Good job.
Sivir flash there, can them.
I'm getting the flash as well.
It's 20 Sivir.
I'm old. Maybe even Sam. Guys, good job. We need towers, guys.
Ghosts up as well. The engage finds Power of Evil. With him out the fight, a lot of the damage is removed. Vortex gets crit down. 1 game away from guaranteeing an appearance in the World Championships.